Okay, so let's talk about RevPoints, something that Revolut introduced roughly 18 months to maybe 2 years ago now. And we saw the phase out gradually of cashback and the integration of Revolut's own loyalty reward point system. And in today's video or podcast, we're going to discuss them because now we've had enough time to test RevPoints, get a feel for them, the dust has settled, so to speak, and we're going to look at exactly how these RevPoints can be earned and the ways in which you can redeem them and how you can get the most value from them. And there are a lot of people that are just using Revolut Standard, the free account. So we're going to have a look if it's right for them or if there is a better alternative, like a pure cashback debit card, like the Santander Edge account, which we talked about on last week's episode, or even Chase UK. That might still be a better option for most people than using RevPoints. But before we jump into today's episode, if you're on the fence about our podcast and you're thinking about subscribing, if we could earn your subscription, that would be amazing. I mean, if you want to support us in any way, the best thing to do is just to engage with the podcast, whether it's subscribe, like, or comment. That would be awesome. But let's get into RevPoints. They've definitely been a bit controversial since they launched. There's been a lot of criticism and there's been a lot of problems, particularly around spare change, which sparked a lot of heated debate in Reddit particularly. But before we jump too far ahead, I'd love to hear from you, Jan, because you've been a very heavy user of Revolut over the years. And if there's anyone who can speak the most detail with the best sort of knowledge or experience, it's probably going to be you. So I'd love to know more about RevPoints and how we can accumulate them.
Yeah, thanks for the intro, Johnny. Basically, the way RevPoints work is they're pretty similar to an airline reward scheme. That's how you could look at them. And you earn points for qualifying purchases, and in return, you can redeem those points for things like airline miles, hotel bookings, tours, but also events or even shopping discounts of selected merchants. And when they launched, they essentially replaced Revolut's previous cashback offer that was in place for some of the paid plans. And the earning rate currently depends on your account type, essentially. Standard and Plus users, they only earn points if they activate a feature called Spare Change. Spare Change essentially forces you to buy RevPoints with money that you spend. So just as an example, you're making a transaction for £1.10. Revolut would then deduct £2 from your account and use 90 pence to buy RevPoints at a rate of 50 points per pound, so 2p per point. And if you decide not to activate it, you won't enjoy RevPoints at all. You won't be able to collect any, at least not through normal purchases that you do on a daily basis. Premium users and metal users, they don't need to commit to spare change. They can just collect points at a rate of 1 point per every £4 spent for premium users. Metal users collect a point per every £2 spent, and ultra users, they collect a point for every pound spent.
So standard users cannot use or earn RevPoints without activating spare change. Can you just
they can't
confirm that?
Indeed, and that's a huge downside, and in my opinion, essentially disqualifies the feature for them, because I personally don't see the value in activating spare change and then committing on buying those points.
That doesn't sit right with me. So what other ways can we earn besides just spending, Jan?
There are multiple other ways.
I know you can earn 2 times points on stays and experiences. So if you're booking a hotel, say you're a Revolut Ultra customer and you're booking a hotel that's £500 or 500 euros, then you could earn double the points, so you'd earn as many as 1,000.
Then you can earn up to 20 times points on Revolut Pay and certain shop promotions.
Oh, wow. So that's like a boosted promotion, possibly a one-off like you might see on cashback apps where they're like, okay, you can earn 10% cashback at Curry's if you buy a particular item.
And you can use your app to browse through those promotions and then see whether there's something interesting. And that's actually a scenario where I think RevPoints make a lot of sense. If you're planning a purchase, it never hurts to look at promotions and ways to accumulate cashbacks, and that might be a good one. There are also challenges. Challenges, they're small and easy wins. Just an example, if you fulfill your budgeting goals that you set within the Revolut apps, you can earn 10 Rev points, and then there are also extra rewards for referrals. Not a lot though, but hey, at least it's something. Add some gamification to it, in my opinion. And there welcome and upgrade bonuses for new signups or plan changes. As an example, if you switch to Ultra, you get up to 10,000 Rev points as a welcome bonus.
Just to clarify and jump in, while they are giving bonus points for upgrading, don't let that sell you onto upgrading. There are a lot of other things to consider that we're going to talk about very shortly, particularly when we talk about the redemption rate for these products. But just to jump in and quickly say those welcome bonuses.
Yeah, it's definitely worth looking at the overall picture and then making up your mind based on that. Yeah, the other way to collect points is something called the Points Pocket, which is essentially some sort of savings account that lets users accumulate points if they commit to a certain minimum balance. As an example, if you commit to £2,500, holding £2,500 as a minimum balance throughout the year, then you would accumulate 2,700 Rev points for that. There's some exclusions worth mentioning, in my opinion. So you don't accumulate any points on crypto purchases, ATM withdrawals, gambling, taxes, and government payments.
Points Pocket's an interesting scheme, isn't it? So the more money you deposit, the more money you save with Revolut, the more points that you can generate. That could be quite compelling, particularly if they're offering a good savings rate, a good return. That I could see that being quite interesting. Again, if you're a standard account holder, you're not going to be getting the best savings rate. We know that Revolut tiers the rates. So from standard to ultra, the higher it gets as you go up in the tiers. So again, standard account holders aren't probably going to benefit the most from depositing their money with Revolut, even if you can generate points.
Yeah, I would look at this as a sort of interest account, to be honest. So basically, if you value those points at 1p per pound, for example, if that's the average redemption rate that you're going to get, if you redeem them for things, then you're essentially, what are you getting? I mean, let's make the math here. It's essentially £27 for your £2,500 balance, right? Roughly an interest rate of 1.1%, more or less. I mean, I'm just trying to make the math in my head here. Might be worth using a calculator next time. Yeah, just look at other savings account. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It just doesn't make sense currently in this market. It might make sense at some point if interest rates go down. If Revolut turns out to be the best option in the market, then you could look at it. But in my opinion, it's no option, not good at all. And this is in fact open to standard users as well, because it's in Revolut's best interest to have users hold as much money as possible in their accounts, obviously, so they can start giving out loans and do other exciting things with it.
You touched on something interesting there. You said about the redemption rate. So let's get into that. Let's get into the redemption options here. Not the rates necessarily. We'll talk about that afterwards, but we've got to talk about the options. How can we redeem our Rev points, Jan? How can we turn them to something tangible?
There are multiple ways to redeem them. Firstly, you can convert them to airline miles. Revolut partners with over 30 airlines, and in which you can achieve a one-to-one conversion. As an example, if you convert them to Avios, if you convert 10,000 Rev points to Avios, you'll be getting 10,000 Avios here that you can then redeem on British Airways flights or Iberia flights or Qatar Airways flights or whatever you want to do with it. Same for Flying Blue and several other airline programs. So if you're a frequent flyer, might be worth looking at that and then using that strategy to accumulate extra miles that you can then redeem for flights. There are also stays discounts where you can essentially use Revolut points to get a certain amount off your stay if you decide to book a hotel with Revolut. And that's actually one of the best ways to redeem it. They're valued at 2p per point, essentially. As an example, if you use if you book a hotel that's going to cost £100 a night, you would need to redeem 5,000 points in order to get it free. Something to keep in mind though, Johnny, it's not all perfect. I personally had a look at Revolut stays and the rates they offer, and in my opinion, often they're a little more expensive than the rates that you find on other hotel booking websites. So it's always important to take the total picture into account and use Google Maps, Kayak, or other comparison platforms in order to figure out where to get the best rate. And if Revolut turns out to be the best option here, that's a good way to redeem your points.
Just to chime in there on something, because you also mentioned this when you were talking about Revolut wanting to encourage you to deposit money into their accounts. The same thing goes for why they're encouraging you, why they're giving you the best redemption rates on Revolut stays. It's because they're probably going to earn a commission from your booking because they are aggregating or facilitating that booking. So they're earning someone else some money. So that's important to know. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the best favorable rate on that accommodation, like Jan said. So just to reiterate, look at Google, look at other platforms like bookings.com, which probably Revolut is using some sort of white label anyway. They're probably just using some sort of bookings.com white label product, so to speak. So you're not going to be getting some unique deal because it's Revolut's platform. So just be aware of that. Be mindful of that. I know it can be obviously compelling because you're going to get 2 times points. You're going to get the points boost, but there's a reason why that boost is available. I just wanted to reiterate that.
Yeah, it's all good, Johnny. Thanks for mentioning it. Where did we leave off? Experiences. That's also a way to redeem points. You can, if you decide to book a tour, an event, or an activity through Revolut, which they started offering, I think, very recently. You can also redeem your Rev points at 1 to 2p per point there. So in case that's something you decide to do, might be a good redemption rate here. You can also use Rev points for shopping discounts via Revolut Pay, where 1,000 points equals £10 off at partner merchants. I don't know about the UK, to be honest, Johnny, but at least within the European Union or within Germany, I don't think there are a lot of companies offering Revolut Pay currently, if it's even available. So have you personally had a chance to pay through Revolut Pay?
Yes, I have. I bought some clothing. Works a lot like Shopify's payment platform, if you've ever used that, where it's a very simple one-step setup. Link your Revolut account once, and then when you come back on the same browser, you can click to pay. And it's very simple. It's designed to make checking out as easy as possible to help minimize the abandoned checkouts that merchants are having. This is slightly down the hierarchy. It's not at the bottom. This isn't the worst way to redeem those points. American Express have gift cards available as well, and they're right at the bottom of the redemption hierarchy. It's easy to want to redeem for gift cards because it feels like cashback. It's an easy, obvious way to visualize what your points are worth. You're looking at 0.71p per point. So when you think about Revolut stays being 2p per point in value, twice as much, it's so much better.
One thing to mention here, Johnny, just look at people using the spare change feature. Always feels criminal. So you let users buy points at 2p per point, and then they can redeem them for 0.7p per point. So you're losing money there. Lots of money.
I don't want to use the C word. You used it.
Let's cut it out, maybe.
It does not.
Doesn't feel right.
We'll leave it in. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. And that's why we're here to talk about this. You are going to be losing out if you're buying points through spare change and then redeeming them for something like gift cards. How are you breaking even on spare change?
You're not gonna.
What do you have to use? Do you have to redeem just stays?
Stays, unless you convert them to airline miles and then find good reward flights, right? But that's also rare and difficult, right? That's another story.
Yeah, because you did mention airline miles at the top of this redemption hierarchy is one of the best ways to get the most value. But there is a caveat. If you want to get the most value, you're going to need to be booking the more premium cabins. You're going to need to be booking flights in first, business, which means that you're going to have accumulated a lot more points. That's certainly a way that you could break even on spare change, but only if you're booking like business or first class flights. It's very difficult to try and make this spare change thing sound anything other than wrong.
It's so surprising that they're trying to sell this as a feature. I mean, it's clearly not good.
Ultra plan users can justify it, I guess.
They won't activate spare change, will they? They don't have to do that in order to accumulate points. So what's the point of activating spare change?
I think it's important to look at now the various accounts that Revolut offer. So we have most countries have standard, premium, metal, ultra. Some in Europe, the UK have plus. I want to look at the cost of these accounts, Jan, and can you touch on how much we'll have to spend to earn enough Rev points to break even on the cost of these accounts alone? Because I think that's important, because I know some people will have looked at Revolut and their rewards scheme and thinking, okay, those premium Metal Ultra accounts look really compelling because I can earn more points.
It's very difficult to break even just on the cost alone unless you're a very heavy spender. And as an example, so the premium plan currently is priced at £7.99 pounds per month, and it collects 1 point per every £4 spent. That means in order to break even, assuming you'd be redeeming them for an average of 1p per point, you would need to spend £3,196 every month. That's that's a crazy amount of money, right? For metal, it's slightly less. So metal costs £14.99 every month, and it collects 1 point for every £2 spent. In order to break even at 1p per point, average redemption rate, you need to spend £2,998 every month. Ultra users, on the other hand, Ultra is the most expensive plan that Revolut offers at £45 every month. Also collects 1 point for every pound spent. Therefore, they need to spend £4,500 every month, and it's just a crazy amount of money in my opinion. And I don't know what you think about it, Johnny, but there's very likely better option if someone is just looking for cashback.
Getting these accounts just to earn rev points is not a smart thing to do. But if you can benefit from Ultra, from Metal, from Premium, if you can use the benefits like low fee international transfers, the partner benefits, the increased ATM withdrawal limits, fee-free currency exchange, if you can benefit from that, then these rev points can be incredibly beneficial. But just as it's on its own, when you put those numbers out there, Jan, you talk about having to spend as much as £3,000 to get the value back in rev points to pay for that fee of premium
and metal.
I mean, that's insane. Metal is 2,998.
Exactly,
it's your best
slightly
option.
better deal here. Yeah, and that's due to the fact that it accumulates twice as many points per pound spent, but it doesn't cost exactly double the rate of premium, but just almost double.
Just to stress that's redeeming at an average of 1p per point, which we think is probably what you're looking at if you're dabbling with different ways to redeem and not just say going for like Avios, for example. What about, okay, just quickly, because we've touched on cashback cards, we've touched on credit cards in other episodes. So if you're looking for a deeper dive on that, check out our last episode. But what about other options?
There are many other options, especially in the UK, in my opinion. If you look at debit cards only, there's a Santander Edge debit card that accumulates 1% cashback on household bills via direct debit, and also 1% cashback on debit card spending. Both are capped at £10 per month. So in total, you can accumulate £20 per month in cashback. And in order to be eligible for that account, you need to pay. You need to receive at least £500 monthly and have 2 direct debits set up. And then the monthly fee is £3 every month. There's also the Trading 2-on-2 cashback card that accumulates 0.5% of cashback on all spending, which is capped at £20 per month. On the bright side, there's no monthly fee involved. There's just a one-time fee you need to spend if you want a physical card. That's £4.95. You can start accumulating cashback with the virtual card, though, in case that's something you're interested in.
But what about credit cards, Jan? Just quickly, because I know we've touched on this before.
Some I find worth mentioning is the Amex Nectar that accumulates 2 Nectar points for every pound spent. 3 at certain partner stores. There's also a bonus of 20,000 points if you sign up and you spend £2,000 within the first 3 months. Fee-wise,
I mean, that just to jump in. Sorry, Jan, just to jump in. I just want to mention this. That's like immediately better than an Ultra. Ultra where you're earning 1 point per pound for spending £45 per month on the account. And this Nectar card is offering you 2 points per pound for free for the first year. It's just like roughly £3 a month after that. I mean, I just wanted to jump in and reiterate that.
Yeah, in general, a good option in my opinion. But something to keep in mind, Johnny, that's a credit card and not everyone is eligible for credit card, right? And I assume that Revolut is probably a lot easier to get than an Amex Nectar. But I haven't been through the process myself, so I can't tell from personal experience.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the Amex Gold, which is also another option, another good, compelling option. Like Jan said, if you can get it, I've been through the process personally. I've got pretty good credit, so I didn't have any problems getting it. But I can see how this could be an issue, and you might only have the option of a debit card, where Revolut could be tempting. But it's likely that if you're in that position, is that person able to go for anything other than standard? Like, can they justify getting anything other than standard? Do they have a need for anything other than standard? So if they're using standard, are they getting the best reward system? No. They should probably look at like Chase UK. They might not want to pay for Santander Edge. They probably wouldn't have any difficulty getting a trading 212 card. I just want to quickly touch on something, Jan, if you can speak to Europe. Because in the UK, I think it's pretty clear that we've got some better options than Revolut's RevPoint system. But perhaps this could be better for people in wider parts of Europe where there aren't as many reward systems or cashback cards.
I can see that argument. That makes sense. In my opinion, the EU cashback cards are worse than in the UK, and definitely worse than in the US, for example, which have the best cashback cards in my opinion. But yeah, Amex is available. Not necessarily a good point for RevPoints, in my opinion. Still doesn't make sense. Unless you really need...
When does it make sense?
Really need a debit card and you've done all the market research and there's just no other debit card that accumulates cashback. But I think the trading 212 card is also available in many countries within the EU. So that should be a good option there as well. Yeah, I don't see how that makes sense, to be honest. If you look at cashback RevPoints, they're not a reason to switch to a pay plan or sign up for Revolut, in my opinion.
We've just got to reiterate then that, if you're someone that's already within the Revolut ecosystem, this could be beneficial for you if you're making use of those other features. Otherwise, look around for different options, weigh up your spending habits, and use that to inform your decision whether you want to get Revolut just for RevPoints. But my personal opinion, and I think I can speak on Jan's behalf, it's not worth it. Just for RevPoints alone. Revolut stays, you could have a look, dip in, see if there's any cheaper accommodation available compared to what you're seeing on Google or bookings.com, and then you could earn a few extra points that way. But just to solely do your everyday spending through Revolut to earn RevPoints alone might not be the best use of your spending. Hopefully we've left you relatively well informed today. If you have any more questions, if you're still unsure, use the comment section, reach out to us on email, find us on Instagram, find us on LinkedIn, and we'll try to help you out as much as possible. And as always, if you could subscribe to the channel on YouTube, if you could subscribe to our podcast on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening to us, that would be fantastic. We'd really appreciate it. And we hope you found today's show as useful and beneficial as possible. And we'll see you next week for the recap.
Yeah, we have the recap scheduled for next week. And thanks everyone for listening. Thanks for the great summary, Johnny. And it was a pleasure.